Rather than lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. Now, Freddie Paxton has given us a simple insight on where Arsenal will be spending next. He says after Alexander Zinchenko, our next full focus is going to be signing a new winger. We're going to be trying to dive into that. Is signing a new attacker, is signing a new winger Arsenal's really biggest priority this summer? We'll look at that, but also we have now a deja vu on our hands. Since January, Arsenal have been interested in Tielemans, and now it looks like we have really reignited our interest in the player, with Freddie Paxton saying Tielemans has always been a priority, but now Arsenal are looking at other options. And Jacob Benz has also said Arsenal are looking at other players. They're no longer looking at Tielemans as a priority, but rather as an option. In my opinion, something that might create a lot of transfer havoc and disappointment in the Arsenal fan base, but also in the market in our search for a central midfielder. We'll talk about William Saliba. Mikel Arteta said they've had honest conversations with the player, and he has never promised him minutes. Minutes at a club like Arsenal should be earned rather than promised by a manager. Now, there's so many Arsenal fans that are falling into a frenzy, and they're saying Mikel Arteta should be promising William Saliba minutes in the Arsenal side. I mean, talk to me in the comment section there. What do you think, and which side do you fall on? Do you feel Mikel Arteta should promise and guarantee William Saliba minutes in the Arsenal side, despite the fact that we have the likes of Gabriel Magalhaes and Ben White ahead of him? Or should William Saliba be earning his own privilege and rights to play for Arsenal and also to start? Mikel says no one gets guaranteed minutes in a club like Arsenal. You must earn them, and you must earn them well. We're going to be diving into all that. Hit the like button for me. Subscribe to the podcast. Let's get this video to 800 likes. Of course, we're very close to 54,000 subscribers as well, which is really, really amazing. Now, let's start off with the Alexander Zinchenko story and Freddie Paxton. He's given us an update and said in the next few hours you will be seeing Alexander Zinchenko in the colors of Arsenal Football Club. But that is not what is important. What is important at the moment is where Arsenal go from there, and what kind of priorities they are actually thinking about. Now, yesterday, Mikel was speaking to the media, and he said, we want more players. We want more options to strengthen this side, but the nature of the market and the conditions around the market are actually going to determine what kind of players we bring in and the amount of players that we can actually add as reinforcements to the squad. Now, Freddie Paxton has already told us that Arsenal still have a lot of money to spend this summer, and there is a lot. There's so many positions they were trying to fill even before getting this Alexander Zinchenko deal, in the way. We had so many promises from Freddie Paxton that Arsenal were working on a right back, on a left back, on a winger, and also on a central midfielder. So it shows that there is a lot of money. But I think what we're trying to look at here from Freddie Paxton is the hierarchy of priorities. And it is something, if you look at a couple of theories on priorities, it is something that is really, really important. It means you're going to spend more on your priorities and spend less on things that you feel are not that pressing or do not need your attention or do not need your full your full attention at the moment. So Freddie Paxton says the next move is going to be a winger and probably a central midfielder. I'm going to try to reason him out and debunk his theory as well, and also probably try to support it. So he says the next focus for Arsenal is a winger. I don't think he's lying there, because Fabrizio has also said that Arsenal in the coming days are going to be working very, very closely to sign a new winger in the next coming days coming weeks. So it's not a coincidence that Fabrizio says it on Friday. On Saturday and Sunday, Freddie Paxton comes out and says, yes, Arsenal are going to be signing a winger next. So we do not know the name of the winger, and I don't want to waste a lot of time there because we are dealing with mysteries. We're dealing with mysterious names. But the next one is a winger. The question for me, lads, is should a winger come next after come next after Alexander Zinchenko. In my opinion, I see where Arsenal are going. They feel we've signed Alexander Zinchenko. He can play as a central midfielder. He can also play as a backup left back. So we are definitely safe in that area. We need to find players in positions and places where we're going to be a little bit exposed and naked. With Nicola Pepe now being eyed with more than 3 clubs around Europe, including Sevilla, Newcastle, and Leicester City. Surprisingly, Leicester. Yeah, they're interested in him, and I don't want to talk about that right now. We'll talk about it tomorrow in the keep or sell. Which players could Arsenal still sell this summer? But when you think about all this, all this Zinchenko situation and Arsenal's next priority being a winger, stroke an attacker, it actually makes a lot of sense, because you feel Zinchenko, whether you have Xhaka around or away, Zinchenko can be a starter for Arsenal in midfield. Definitely, I'm not really very confident that when you start Zinchenko in midfield alongside Partey and Martin Odegaard, you will beat Frankie de Jong, Ibrahim Sangare, and Bruno Fernandes or Christian Eriksen, that kind of midfield, or you will compete directly with Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, and Rodri, because those are the clubs we want to compare ourselves to, because they're the clubs we want to challenge in the upcoming season. And you've seen Spurs have done it very well. Bissouma in there already, Ivan Perisic in there as well, in their midfield. Rodrigo Bentancur signed already in January. So Is Zinchenko the kind of central midfielder I would feel ready to have 38 games per campaign? There is a question there. I love him. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. But phenomenal as a backup, phenomenal as a squad player, phenomenal as a player that replaces Tierney and helps us to play in that elbow system better than Tierney. But when you want me to believe he's going to be challenging for us in the direction of a central midfielder, in a position of that central midfield, I'm skeptical, right? But Freddie Paxton says the next one is an attacker, and like I said, with Zinchenko coming in, I understand the reasoning for Arsenal. But for me, I think the next one should be a central midfielder. We need to be looking at that central midfield role very, very closely and very, very carefully, because it's a position that dictates a lot. And that's why you've seen Man United spend huge amounts of time trying to negotiate with Barcelona down to the last bond to get Frankie de Jong. And although Frankie at the moment is still, playing a lot of circus with them, they know they will get the man. And the importance of a central midfielder, the importance of that role in positional play is absolutely, magnificent. You've seen what Bernardo Silva does for Manchester City. We've seen what, Jadon Henderson or Thiago Alcantara does for Liverpool, and a couple of other players. So I think Arsenal's next priority should be a central midfielder, but it's going to be a winger stroke attacker. Now, talking about the central midfield and talking about attackers, Arsenal have also reignited their interest in Brazilian central midfielder Arthur Melo. This is kind of a deja vu. Not kind of a deja vu, but this is an absolute deja vu. Now, according to Giaco Laco, he says Arsenal have reignited their plan for Arthur Melo. Both players and Juventus are mutually talking about skipping the US tour to see how things can progress. Arthur has never considered Roma among his options, either Arsenal or Barcelona for now. Now, this one is not new. Right from January, we were interested in Arthur Melo, and I'm one of the people who believe that signing one lame player in January would have taken Arsenal to the UEFA Champions League. I mean, no disrespect to Spurs, but I think we were inches. We were inches into the UEFA Champions League, and we're miles better than them. But the squad depth really hurt us a lot. Now, Arthur Melo or Yuri Tielemans is the agenda we are actually talking about. And I'm going to tell you something. You remember when we talked about James Maddison last campaign? I know many of you did not follow closely with the channel, but you did follow with other sources. But if you remember the James Maddison saga, we wanted Martin Odegaard, and then we were very closely linked with James Maddison. That deal failed. We were linked with Joaquin Correa, who eventually joined Inter Milan, so the deal didn't happen. We were linked with Houssem Aouar in the same position. The deal didn't come through. We were linked with Emi Buendia as well at the beginning of the summer, and it did happen. What happens with such deals and with such situations is, although the media understand there is 100% consent in the club that you will be signing such and such a player, they try to create all these theories running around, stories around players, because I don't see how Arsenal go back for Arthur Melo. It's not because we are no longer interested in the player. We are interested, and I know we were always interested, but when you look at all the players we've been linked with, Serge Milinkovic-Savic, Renato Sanchez, Lucas Paqueta, and the natural death of all those links, it only shows you Arsenal's target is Youri Tielemans. It's not Arthur Melo, it's not Lucas Paqueta, it's not Renato Sanchez, it is not anyone else. Now, Ben Jacobs has been speaking as well around this deal, and is one of the pioneers of the theory that the player is 100% sold onto a move, and Arsenal have never been disinterested. This is what he has said in the last few hours. Arsenal have never ended their contact or interest in Youri Tielemans, but do have other targets right now. He's become an option rather than a priority. Zinchenko covers two areas Arsenal really wants to strengthen. Now, that is bullshit for me. Absolute bullshit. And this is the reason as why I'll term that as bullshit. Listen, Zinchenko coming to Arsenal is the same situation as Fabio Vieira signing for Arsenal. When Fabio Vieira signed for Arsenal, a couple of lazy journalists came out and said, "Oh, we are not signing, Arsenal not signing Youri Tielemans, they've signed Fabio Vieira." When we did predicted lineups and tactical analysis of Fabio Vieira, and we showed that he's better as a number 10 or playing as a right winger or left winger, as long as he's in that attack-minded position, they came out and said Arsenal are going to bid for Youri Tielemans. Now we are signing Alexander Zinchenko. They've come back with their lazy packages saying, "Oh, Zinchenko will block the move to for Youri Tielemans to Arsenal." It doesn't make a lot of sense for me, because although he covers those two positions, if Kieran Tierney gets injured, then we do not have a central midfielder. Mikel knows that, and I'm unwilling to follow any school of thought that thinks Mikel Arteta is going to repeat the same mistake he's done in the past 2 years. He will get in the central midfielder. It will be Youri Tielemans. I mean, I will be very interested to see how Arsenal just walk away from Youri Tielemans, and I'm very, very open to the idea of me being wrong when we do not sign him, and don't even sign him don't sign in a central midfielder at all. I'm very, very open. But at the moment, Arthur Melo interest in there. Barca interested. Barca want Bernardo Silva. It looks like City are unwilling to sell. Yes, there is an exodus at the club, but it is not taking everyone. Mahrez is signing a new contract, as well as the likes of Kevin De Bruyne. It means they want to keep their most important players. Bernardo is part of that. If they do not get Bernardo Silva, I'm very optimistic another player will go, but not Arthur Melo. I do not think it's going to be Arthur Melo. But anyway, Arthur Melo in the news. Let's wait and see how that develops in the next few hours, weeks, and days. Now, Mikel Arteta said he will not be providing any guarantees to William Saliba for game time. He's not promising any minutes. He wants him to come back at Arsenal and fight as a man. And look, a couple of Arsenal fans here are against the idea of Mikel Arteta coming and being very, very frank with Saliba. Probably they feel you should lie to him, get him to sign a new contract, and then tell him, no, we're not going to give you football because you are French young player of the year. We are going to give you football because you've done well, better than Ben White. I think what Mikel has done is absolutely top as a manager. Tell the player, we are not giving you game time because you're handsome. We're giving you game time because you're hardworking. I think it makes a lot of sense. We'll talk about this one in the next episode of Let's Talk, because I think this is smart and this is mature from Mikel Arteta. hit the like button. Share with me your thoughts in the comment section about the stories that we've talked about. And later, we'll talk about Zinchenko as there is a debate on TalkSport that Alexander Zinchenko does not improve Arsenal. And we will talk about that very, very soon. Very, very soon.